Recognizing the member for Columbia River Revelstoke.
There you got it.
There it is.
Well done, Mr. Speaker.
Wonderful part of the world.
Yeah, it is so. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to the member opposite for their comments. The British Columbians and their families whose livelihood depend on tourism, and in this case cruise ships, deserve a much better fate. The problem we see before us today has been on the radar screen for over a year, yet nothing has really been done to address this issue. Mr. Speaker, this issue was in front of the provincial leadership as of February 12, 2021, when they were CC'd on a letter that was sent to our Canadian Prime Minister from the 2 Alaskan senators and Alaskan congressman informing them, and I quote, "As neighbors and economic partners, we are discouraged by Canada's lack of outreach before announcing this long-term closure," end quote. Mr. Speaker, upon receipt of this letter from the American politicians, red flags should have gone up immediately for the leadership of this province. Yet the seriousness of this threat to BC's cruise industry and those who depend on it was been downplayed from the start. It was dismissed by the Premier, who said it was, and I quote, "a blip," and assured British Columbians that chances of this law being passed by the American senators were, and I quote,
If I might remind the member, just before he goes further, that remarks that target specific members in this House go contrary to the spirit of this time. Of course, there are opportunities in question periods, speeches, etc., on other bills to target individuals.
The Minister of Tourism told British Columbians that the proposed American legislation was, I quote, "a temporary measure," and it was very unlikely. And the reason I make these comments, Mr. Speaker, is that they speak to a point that I'm going to be making. Well, the thing is on May 13th, the U.S. Senate passed unanimously and approved a bill to bypass Canadian borders for the duration that they were closed. A bipartisan action, Mr. Speaker, that virtually never happens in the United States. The biggest issue now for BC is that the new legislation has been signed into law by President Biden and will work to the advantage of the American-based ports, like Los Angeles and Seattle. This will allow U.S.-based cruise ships on the Los Angeles-Seattle Alaskan run to completely bypass BC, a move that analysts say will likely become permanent. The British Columbians who work directly or indirectly for the BC cruise industry deserve better, or at least the same advocacy and respect the Alaskans received from their elected officials. Had action been taken immediately, and had the American concerns been taken more seriously when it first presented, the tourism calamity that is today and the tourism cruise calamity that will be tomorrow could have well be avoided. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.